All right, boys, we're back today. This should be the fourth video here with my Cadillac here with the infamous, not infamous, but the very good 4.9 liter. This engine runs very good, but it also runs very rich. So I've been sort of chasing that richness. And also, if you haven't watched my previous videos, I've also had two intermittent codes, which is an E13 and the E44. But those are not that big of an issue. The big issue here I'm trying to get rid of is this odor that's coming from the tailpipe. And in my last video, I done a fuel pressure check. The fuel pressure was low and it's still being rich. To me, that indicates that the injectors are leaking, but we still got to do further testing. Now, the logic behind that, if you're not familiar with what a fuel regulator does, a fuel regulator regulates pressure by allowing fuel to return to the gas tank when you need lower pressure, but when you need higher pressure, the diaphragm in it closes off and holds that pressure higher in the fuel reel, so then that injectors can shoot that into the cylinder to be burned, like for example when you mash the gas really hard. So again, if it was returning to if you had an internal leak inside of the diaphragm and it was leaking into the intake, well, you don't have rich gas that way. And also if it's getting into the crankcase, getting into the oil and the vapors are coming back up, you'd have rich that way. But I got low pressure that's rich, so it's not returning to the tank, because you would think that, well, if it's returning to the tank, then it's not being burned. I mean, you probably would like, and it's also another possibility is that the check valve on the actual pump pumping to the fuel rail. But again, that's not the case here. And I know that because this car has no performance issues, no hesitation. This car will smoke tires. And when you get up very high speeds, it has no problem. Like I have had this car up to 100 miles an hour a couple of times. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not advocating speeding out here. I'm not advocating doing anything like that. It's just that I waited till I got on the highway just as a test to see, and just got up to that speed and immediately let off the gas because I just wanted to see. So in other words, there's no issue with fuel delivery in terms of performance. The car is performing. It's just too rich. So anyway, what do we got going on here today? So, and also in my last video, I started my smoke test here, and I was going through the actual intake here, but the bladder didn't fit correctly and smoke was leaking out. So today what I'm gonna do, I just took off, you see right here, I'm gonna go through here. This is with the PVC intake, or what a PVC would be sucking into the engine. So I'm gonna just shoot smoke back in there. I just want to just see, is there any vacuum leak, just to see if there's anything that might be associated with the code E13 and E44. That's intermittent, by the way. I have not seen that code pop back up in a while. I also do have a new oxygen sensor, but I'm not worried. The oxygen sensor seems to be responding, and the PCM seems to be sending signals and able to respond to those responses it's getting. So not too worried about that. I also got my oscilloscope out today. I'm going to check just a few of these injectors here with the oscilloscope. And also, we're going old school here. We're going to do this power balance test here. And this power balance test is built right into the software of the Cadillac. Cadillac basically has its own, in this era, and I think even previous Cadillac, has sort of its own scan tool built right into the car that you manipulate through the electronic climate control center and the fuel data center. So you can look at data PIDs, you can do overrides, you can relearn things. There is so many things you can do. Basically, this car has its personal GM Tech 1 built into it. So you can, and part of that, again, if you look here, you can pause the video. I've already read this in the last video. We're going to do this power balance test. All right, so what order are we going to do things in today? So first of all, we're going to go ahead and, since I just pulled my car in the garage, so it's basically cold, I'm going to do this smoke test first, just to see if, while things are not like sort of expanded a little bit from heat, to see if there is any smoke from that. So maybe if you let a car heat up, it might mask some sort of like slight leak, for example. Do this first. Then I'm gonna just check a few injectors with this. And the reason I'm gonna do that first, you would think I should do, I might even do this after I do the power balance test, I'm not sure. But I'm gonna do this first so the car can be running. And because one of the criteria for to do this power balance test is that the car It might tell you up here. So anyway, it's up here that the car needs to be at operating temperature. So that way it should go in a closed loop, just idling right here within probably 5 or 7 minutes or so. But I'm gonna check several of these injectors by back probing them. So anyway, let me get you guys set up here, get everything set up correctly, and we're gonna take a look at this, at the smoke test and then at these injectors. All right, so of course the first thing I'm gonna do is just make sure I see some smoke coming out of this first, and I'm gonna plug this up. I should have had my light. I got it right behind me here, but let me get this smoke real quick coming out, and I'm gonna grab my light. And I also got my little flashlight in my pocket to help out too. So you see a nice stream of smoke, and let's go ahead and stick that in and see if we can see anything. So let me get some light here. Okay. Well, that's a good sign. I don't see anything so far. Make sure we don't have nothing. Because sometimes you might have a very slight yeah, I don't see anything up here on the top end smoking. So that's really all I wanted to do. I just wanted to check to make sure that nothing here is actually smoking. So let's pull this off to see what we see here. Yep, still got smoke going in. As you can see, nice, thick smoke, and nothing was coming out. I didn't see anything here at all. Let's blow it just a few more seconds here. Just give it one more check. I'll let it run about another 30 seconds, maybe 10, 15 seconds, not even 30 seconds, because you should see something smoking by now. One thing I was worried about was to see if there was anything going to come from this gasket right here that I replaced the other day. See nothing. And this should be going right back in here and then going into the intake here. So if there was any smoke, if there's any smoke coming out, it's so little that that again, I thought I just saw a little wisp. But anyway, it's so little smoke that I feel like I see a little bit right here. Let me take this away for 1 second and use my flashlight here, since that light was so bright. I do see a little smoke back here, but that is that pipe. I think I showed it to you in a previous video where I taped up because I said I'm gonna replace that pipe, and that's what it is. It's that pipe. So anyway, all that smoke going in, really saw no smoke coming out. So again, that's all I wanted to do with that. Let me just go ahead and shut that up. So now let's move on to the other part of the video. I'm gonna set the scope up, and we are going to check some of these scopes, back probe. I mean, it's not scopes, I mean these injectors. All right, guys, so oscilloscope we're gonna be using, I'm gonna be using my Launch X431 Pro Pro 3S Plus Elite. Well, anyway, this is a fantastic scan tool. And what I want to show real quick, somebody asked me the other day, can you go to your Google Play Store with this unit? I did answer them and say, yes, I forget their name, but if you're watching the video, first of all, I appreciate you coming back. But anyway, if you just swipe up, go here to your app drawer here, or whatever it is you want to call this here, and you click Google Play Store. It's just right there already installed, and voila, just like that, it opens up the Play Store. You can install apps if you choose to. All right, so back to the X431. Now this thing, I will be using my top-down oscilloscope here. As you can see it hanging right here, this is the top-down Phoenix scope. Top-down Phoenix scope, the large scope, the one made by Think Car, and there might even be another one, I'm not entirely for sure. They all work with these families of tools. Oh, King Bolin also. King Bolin has a spinoff of the large scan tool as well. So this scope, any of those scopes will work with any of those scan tools. You simply just plug it in. Let me get the USB. Watch how easy this is. You plug it in, and let's see here, and it just automatically opens up the scope app, just like that. So let me plug up my let me plug this up here to a ground here. So that way the scope will know that it has a lead connected, and we'll now show you how to set this up. Really easy. Not trying to do a super tutorial on this, but I just want people to see how this works, because some people do ask me about the scope from time to time, and I like to show people. So because I've already had this open for the day, let me put it back to default. Hold up, sorry, I went too fast, sorry. All right, so when you first open it up, you have all 4 channels here. The yellow is channel 1, the, I guess, turquoise or teal or whatever, not necessarily teal, but this is bright blue here is channel 2, this magenta light color is channel 3, this green is channel 4. So if you want to close, because I've only got 1 channel, which is channel 1, I want to close the rest of the channels. I'm going to just double click. When you click it, it opens up this prompt box here. And you click the actual channel again, the actual button here, and then it closes off that channel. Okay. All right, so now I'm gonna go in and set up my scope here. I do have a 20-to-1 attenuator. And again, if you're not familiar with testing injectors, unless you have a true automotive scope, like a Pico scope, I think is what is a 4420A or something, that's rated up to 400 volts, you definitely gonna need an attenuator, because you'll mess up your oscilloscope. So anyway, that's a 20-to-1, meaning that whatever signal it sends, it's just gonna be reduced by, I guess, 20, gonna be reduced 20 times. And you can scale that up here so you can see the voltage multiply. So I'll show you how to do that right now. So go back to channel 1, you just click it and open up a prompt box. As you can see, I already had a 20x set up in here, but by default, it's just going to be like on 1x. If you got a 10x, you put it on 10x or whatever you see here. You can put it however you want. Now, I put it on 20x. Just click anywhere out here in the black, and let's see here. Let's grow that scale up a little bit. Yeah, there we go. All right. I wanted to blow that. You can use your hands to blow this scale up, or you can use any of these buttons over here. And you can also set trigger. I may try to, I'm not going to try to do a full tutorial walkthrough, but I just want to show you just how easy it is to do this here. So next what I'm going to do is I'm just going to touch this battery right quick. I can't tell if you guys can see this here. I just want to see this jump here, so you can see. I always just see how that jumps right at the 12 volts, because I got it on 20x attenuator and got it on 20x. All right, so let me set this down here. So again, the idea here is that while the car is running, for me to test some of the injectors, I just want to test like 1 or 2 from each bank, because some of them are really hard to get to as far as back probing. That's 2 or 3 on each side. I think 2 on each side is at least very easily accessible. So I'm gonna just test like maybe a couple from each side, and we'll take a look and see what we got for that. And again, that way the car be warming up, going to closed loop, and then we'll do the power balance test. So let me go ahead and fire the car up now. See what we got. All right, there we go. We fired up. So let me start over here, which I know this one over here is pretty easily accessible. It's one on this back side here. So, I think it's this guy here. But as you can see here, this right here is, let me see what cylinder this is here. This here is cylinder number 8. That's on the back side. As you can see, waveform looking pretty good. We got a little pintle hump right here. This right here, the pulse width right here looks pretty good. It's being grounded like it should to cut on, and then it's spiking to release that energy. Coming back down, you get your pintle hump, and then there you have it. That looks pretty good. So let's test another one here. Okay, let's take this out of here. Let's go up on this bank here. Here we go. Let's try this guy here. All right, this here is in the front bank here. I'm trying to not get my wires crossed up here. All right, look at that. Pretty nice waveform here. Can't say anything else other than it looks pretty normal to me. I'm mainly looking for that pintle hump. Make sure you got a decent pulse width here to cut it on here, and also that everything is going back to ungrounded. on this side of the waveform here. All right. Let's try another one. I think there's a second one right here that's easily accessible here. Yeah, there's another one. It's this one here. I can't get, give me 1 second here. I'm trying to get this to stay. For some reason, there we go. All right. Hold on, give me a second here. This here is cylinder 5. I just looked at cylinder 7 right there. Cylinder 5 also is looking pretty good. Take a look at that. Everything looks normal. Pulse width, pencil hole. And it's going back to being ungrounded on each side, which is pretty normal. You got that spike, that's the release of that energy. I think it's a Zener diode type of thing where that energy is being released once it's going, once that pulse width is over with. Coming back down, you get that pencil in there closing up, that mechanical movement, and there you have that. All right, let's go on the other bank again. There's 1 or 2 on the other side I know that's pretty easily accessible here. Again, we're not going to test all of them because there is like, I think about 3 of them that's basically impossible to get to unless you took the fuel rail off. But we'll see. Okay. All right, let's try. Matter of fact, I need my 90 degree. Anyway, let's try it without it. Let's see here. Well, let me get my other backstabber. I need to get my 90 degree one to make this easy. Okay. All right, let's try this guy here. If I can get this off. Dang. All right, there we go. Now that looks thicker. I don't want to use that one. That was thick. That's a thick one. I'll use this one. This is much thinner here, so it'll be less likely to mess up that back coating here. All right, there we go. There we should be. Okay, give me 1 second here. That's a little more challenging than it looked like. All right, there we go. All right, that's I don't know what cylinder that is, but that's on the back bank. It's looking really good. I'm gonna try to get that first one again. Reason why I'm just checking a few of them, I just want to check a few just to see what is the mechanical state. Now we all know that just because you get a good mechanical state don't mean that it's actually not leaking fuel past it, because it could be gummed up and not closing completely, and it could be that the seal's actually leaking as well. Let me try one more here and this should be good, and then what we'll do is we'll set up for the ejector test. I mean our power balance. Let's do one more. Okay. I want to get this one here so bad. Okay, got it. Oh, I did have it. All right, there we go. Yeah, that one looks good too. As you can see, this guy here, make sure you're on camera here. Yeah, see that? Everything looks nice. So at least the 4 or 5 that I tested look good. I know that's not all of them, but I just want to test a few to see what we got going on. And then if we see something special with the power balance, we'll try to come back and test out and see what we got. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna go ahead and get us set up for the power balance, and then we'll proceed with that part of the video. All right, so again, if you didn't watch my other video, I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna do. So we're gonna go through the climate control system, and we're gonna make our way. We're just gonna enter the system. And I know this looks a little confusing if you've never seen this, but trust me, I'm gonna make it very easy to understand. You're gonna hit off and warmer, go through all the code reading, and then once you get to this 0.7.0, then you can go into either one of these trees here, and we're just gonna go over here to this field data center. Well, this is what you see in the field data center. We can go to PCM output override, and you do that by pressing Econ Auto and Warmer. And then you go into this display here, and then you can use lower or higher to go down through the tree, and then low and high to go down to the tree, and then you use cool or warm to turn on or off whatever motor or whatever here that you want to turn off, like an ejector, for example. So I got part of this thing is you need a tachometer set up. So I actually have the OG tachometer right here set up. I'm just going to look at that. I'm not going to be using it, but I'm just going to go ahead and connect it. So I just got it connected here to the wire on the distributor and got it plugged up to the positive and negative to power the unit. But inside of my car, I actually have like an actual OBD1 digital scan tool. We're going to be using that inside the car, and that's how that's going to work. So let me go ahead and finish setting up stuff inside the car and get situated so I had the camera in a good position for us, and then we will go from there and knock out this power balance test. Hopefully it works like the book said it should work, but we'll see about that. All right, guys, so I'm in the car here. I got the idle control solenoid disconnected, which was part of the process here. Let's go ahead into go into the actual diagnostic mode. You go to off and warm here. Go ahead and cut this on. And then once you see that, you'll see this happen here, and then you'll see the other side go into this mode here. Here, we are not seemingly in closed loop yet, but this is what I'm going to use for the RPMs here, this thing here. So let me go ahead and cut this on here. My car is actually idling pretty hard here. Not super hard, but let's see here. All right, here we go. Let me see, is this backed up? Let me back up. Yeah, no wonder. All right, there we go. So let me get to the let's see here. Coolant temperature, cross counts, RPM 1400 RPM. Wow, that's pretty high. All right, so let's go down to see if we can find the oxygen sensor. Engine RPM at 470. Let's see. Okay, auto is there. As you can see, that's right here. That means that we're in closed loop when you see that auto right here. So let's go ahead to the test. So to get to the test part here, we need to hit Econ and Warmer. So we're gonna go here and hit Econ and Warmer. Let me see if I can get this into focus here. Okay, it says F. Okay, let me try that again. F85. Econ. Not sure what I'm supposed to be hitting Econ and auto here. I mean, Econ and Warmer, nothing is seemingly happening here at the moment. Let's just try Econ and see what happens. I know auto closes it out. Let me make sure. Yeah, it's Econ. Okay, Econ and auto. I mean Econ and warm, sorry. I'm just seeing F85, that's all I see here. All right, let's start over again. Let's hit auto, leave out of here. Go back to here, to warmer again. For some reason hold up. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I'm getting confused. I'm confusing myself here trying to do this. Okay, now When I did that, I see F85. I don't see, so it's not exactly working like it. Let me turn my thing off here. Go to off here. So, give me a second, guys. Let me figure out why, because I'm doing exactly what it says here, because I'm going from this part here, and then you go through the codes, and then when your system ready, then you would just hit, let's see here, wait a minute. Oh no, you go to high first, it looks like. Oh, I see. You hit high first, and then you go over here. Got it. Okay, let's do that. All right. Okay, this should work. When this right here go into 0.7.0, 0.7.0, yeah. Yeah, all of them codes you're seeing because I got this thing disconnected. Now we go over here and hit high. Okay, E95, which is E95, and now we hit econ and warmer. Okay, E50. Okay, and then now we just hit up and down. So we want to go to E5.4. Wait a minute. Oh, hold up. E54, that's what we want to go to. That's 6, that's 5.9, 5.8. Five, 6. We're almost there. Taking a little while here. 5.5. 5.4. There we go. That's what we want. Let me set you guys down there. Now I gotta look at some stuff here. All right. So right now it says note the tachometer, which is 475. We say 475 to 450. 1450. And then press the cooler button. Okay. Then note the tachometer. It went up. So it went up. Let me do that again. $15.50, $15.75. 15.50. Let me write this down. 15.75. Now we hit the warmer button. We go to number 2. That should go to number 2 here. It's still in number 1, it looks like. Let me just make sure. Hit the warmer. Oh, hit the warmer button to turn it on. Now we hit, sorry. On and off. Let me see what I do here. Give me a second. Note the tachometer. Press the cooler button. That goes down. Sorry, I think. Yeah, that was 15. Okay, 1500. Select. Now depress the warm button. Okay, now we're on number 2. Sorry, it's taking a little while to do this, but trust me, we're getting there. All right, so number 2, note the tachometer, which is 1475 to 1500. And then depress the cooler button to turn it off. 1550, 1575. So yeah, all these injectors, I can tell you right now, are already too high. All right, now we hit the warmer button again. Okay, and then note the tachometer, which is the same 14. So I ain't even gonna write that down. And then we hit cooler again. I'm gonna show you guys one here in a second. Same thing, 1550 to 1575. Okay. And then we hit the warmer button. So this is, let me show you how this is working here. So we're right here, we hit the warmer button here, because you notice right now we on number 3. All right, I'm gonna hit the warmer button and it's gonna go to cylinder 4. All right, just switch to cylinder 4. And then over here on this side, you hit the cooler button and you look, you see the RPMs right here? Watch what happens when I hit the cooler button. You're gonna see it bounce up. 1550. So all I'm doing about the same thing, about 1550, 1575. Okay. Okay, and then we just go. I'm gonna kind of just speed on through these guys here. And hit the cooler button. Same thing. Okay, hit the warmer button. And then hit the cooler. Same thing, 1550. So at least it's consistent. Hit the warmer button. We're almost finished here. Okay, hit the cooler button. Same thing, 1550, 1575. Okay, and then hit the warmer button. Hit the cooler button. Okay, number 8, cooler. Still the same thing, 1550 to 1575. All right, so let's go ahead and hit auto and back out of here. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and cut the call off now because we're finished with this part of the test. All right, so that's pretty interesting. So let me get out of the car here. We're gonna take a look and see what we gotta do next. All right, guys, so I think by reading this, we can come to the conclusion that all these injectors are leaking. Because again, this is a power balance test and this PCM cuts fuel. Obviously, we all know what this is, but I'm just kind of just going to go through this logically real quick. And they said the engine RPM drop should be within 25 RPMs. There was no such drop. In fact, the RPMs went up in each cylinder. So when it actually cut off the injector, it's almost like it just spewed out a little bit right at the end is what happened. Or it didn't even close at all. Or maybe it tried to close, but closed partially and fuel was more jet spraying, I guess. Again, I'm trying to make up an explanation here, but I went through the thing normally as you saw. Let's just look at this first one here. We saw it said depress the warmer button, select, for example, cylinder 3, note the tachometer, which all of them had the same RPM, which was between 1450 and 1475. And then you depress the cooler button, which turns the thing off, and you note the tachometer. And then you record that. And as you saw, when I hit the cooler button, the RPM was raising to higher levels. Now, so again, if you follow this tree all the way down, at the end, it says equal RPM drop for all cylinders. Technically, you could say no. Because again, even though they all sort of had the same value that we saw, it went up but not down. But now if you take this right here, you go to chart A5 and look at fuel pressure injector test, everything over here leads you to changing these leaky injectors. Like for example, let's go here. Right here, number 4, it said a leaking injector is indicated by reach exhaust with a rotten egg smell. Low fuel pressure is indicated in the test above. And a leaking injector is indicated by a cylinder which does not produce an RPM drop. And we saw no such drop. What we saw was the RPM actually went up for whatever reason. If the fuel injector test okay, check fuel pump and pulsator. So now we go through this thing here, you know, if we was referred from this PFA chart A4 to chart A5, we would go here and we saw that the fuel pressure is below 40 psi and does not even hold 40 psi, it drops down. So we can skip all this here because I can tell you this right now. You don't have to worry about this shut-off valve or nothing because, again, if it was something in the tank not holding pressure to check valve, you would have performance issues. I have no performance issues. So we know that this right here is not even relevant here. So we know there's the fuel line. The fuel filter could stand to be changed, but that still doesn't explain the rich exhaust. And you hit, does the car start? Does the car have rich conditions? Yes or no? And if you hit yes, it says replace leaking injectors as indicated by those cylinders that do not produce RPM drop in chart A4. Okay, here we go. And you would say, does the exhaust seem rich? Even if you say no, you would go over here and says, does chart A4 indicate cylinders without an RPM drop during the power balance test? Yes, replace leaking cylinders as indicated by those who not produce an RPM drop. We saw an RPM increase, and I did it on all 8. And there's no way I would do all 8 wrong. And I even showed y'all me doing one. And this one is even continued. Chart A5 is continued. And if you even let's skip this part here. This is the fuel pressure and injector flow here. We're gonna skip to this part here of it. If you even skip over here and look at, say, record RPM drops, compare the cylinders, and then, injector drop amongst, injector pressure drop amongst them. Does the pressure drop and RPM drop on some cylinders different from others? We didn't check the pressure, but we would say no. Compare the drop in injector pressure among all cylinders. Is the pressure greater for some injectors? We didn't really do this, but we can assume that, I know it's not good to assume that, but we can assume that, meaning that we saw the same, increase in RPM. We can say, yes, that the pressure drop is greater for, hold on, is the pressure drop greater? We would say, wait a minute, let me read this again, sorry. Compare RPM drop and injector pressure drop among all cylinders. Is the pressure drop greater for some injectors and no RPM drop on those cylinders? So I can't say yes or no to this, honestly, because we didn't test the pressure for each injector. But regardless, it's some kind of way leading you, at least over here, to replacing these injectors. Now also, take a look here in the fault tree. It said pressure should be between 32 and 38 psi depending on engine load and altitude. Now when I do cut the car on, it is around that psi, which is good. Let's think about this now. When disconnecting the vacuum hose, engine load compensation is taken away from the fuel pressure regulator. Pressure should rise to 40 psi. If the pressure is greater, replace than 50 psi, replace the regulator. If pressure is lower, check the fuel pump operation is electrical circuits. Well, we can disregard this too. And I know I'm kind of jumping over the place. What I'm trying to say is like, there's nothing dealing with fuel delivery from the tank to the injectors. Okay, because if that was the case, we would have some performance issues. I can tell you right now, I could line this car up in the road right now, and I can probably smoke tires for probably 30 or 40 yards, maybe not 40 yards, probably 20 or 30 yards easily with this car. No performance issues. We get up to 100 miles an hour pretty quickly in this car. And you also got low pressure. And that low pressure is not due, in my opinion, due to fuel being returned to the tank through the regulator unnecessary, because that's the case, it wouldn't be burned. It would be going back to the tank. In my case, I got a crazy rich exhaust. Take a look at these pictures right here. As you can see the ground here where, sometimes you just got all this black soot coming out when the car is like, spitting out water and things like that. And you can see it on another spot on my driveway here as well. But again, I'm going to make this call and I'm going to say these injectors are failing and they just need to be changed. The car is 33 years old. I'm sure these injectors have never been rebuilt or changed. And also, I'm almost certain people have probably put, cheap gas in this car and like most people do, and don't even think about like top tier fuel, don't even think about a once in a while fuel treatment, because fuel treatments actually work. So one thing I will try with this car, my next 2 tanks of gas, maybe even 3 tanks of gas, I'm gonna do a fuel treatment and see, does that change anything? I got me a 6-pack of Red Line over here, and I may even like throw a roll of purple in there just once and just see how that goes. But I'm gonna keep you guys posted on that. But for now, we're gonna leave it at this. We suspect, and I'm confident, and I believe that these fuel injectors need to be changed. They might not be fully filling because of the mechanical aspect, and they all had a pretty equal drop, as you saw. And again, the car has no performance issues. And lastly, looking at the actual oscilloscope, waveform for several of the cylinders, I didn't look at them all. I know that I should have looked at them all, but I'm gonna take it as it is and just say I'm like 90%, which is, to me, is good enough, 90% confident that these are leaky injectors. So I hope you enjoyed this one. Tell me everything down in the comments you think that can help me out here, or maybe something that I did wrong or something that I can grow on. Please help me out if you can. But if not, I hope you got something out of this video. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye. Here's a little extra footage for you guys. I forgot to get out of the car and take a look at this here, but this thing still works pretty fine. I think this was made in the maybe early 90s. Sun Pro, the inductive engine analyzer. Take a look at that. Right now we at about, looks like about, I don't know, 625 RPMs, which is pretty good for this car. So if you got an old school car, definitely pick up one of these right here. They still work just fine. They was probably made to last back in the day. So there you have that.